Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bible Hangout. I'm Reverend Terry James, Senior Minister for Understanding Principles for Better Living Church, and excited to be here. We are studying Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune. This is the text. We're in chapter 4, Whom Seek Ye? Whom Seek Ye? And so I will pull up PowerPoint so that we can get started. Still back to the beginning. So, is there a way to go back? No, there's not a way to go back. It just goes forward. I have to stick with what happened. So, I think you have to know your why. And your why is why you do what you do. Why is it important, even with all the things that are happening that clearly got life happening right here in the midst of a Bible study? And part of that is that I'm so committed to sharing with you this truth, because I think that when you get it that you're divine, that it changes you at your core. And so I think this message is timely, especially given all of the changes happening in the world. And I love the movie Inception. I often refer to it when I think about the Bible Hangout and talk about the Bible Hangout, because that movie is about planting an idea in someone's mind. And can you introduce an idea to someone to the point that they accept it as their own idea? And the premise of the film is that you can't. That you can suggest an idea, and that if you can get the idea to travel all the way to the deepest recesses of their subconscious mind, that idea will then become their own. The Bible Hangout is free, but it does cost. And so if this is a blessing to you, if you would consider being a blessing to the Bible Hangout, a gift of any size is greatly appreciated, and you can do that at revsherry.com. You may or may not know this, but I am available for spiritual mentoring. I do work with people one-on-one. It is one of my great joys. I have space for 2 people available coming up in this next quarter. And so if you are interested in personal development and working with someone one-on-one through that process, I would be delighted to support you and to help you get to the next level in your own experience. Panorama of Truth is coming, and I am excited. We're going to be in Atlantic City, New Jersey this year. We're going to be at Harrah's, and Harrah's Resort and Casino, I think is what it's called, and it's going to be amazing. I will be there. We're actually doing an incredible tribute to Reverend Della, and I believe we have invitations out to Roma Downey and other luminaries who've been a part of her career. It's going to be an amazing experience. And so I definitely encourage you to come be a part of this. There are rooms that are still available. Atlantic City is an incredible place to be. In fact, I haven't been in Atlantic City since I lived on the East Coast, so this will be a nice return home. I think you can either fly into Philly or fly into Newark, New Jersey. So I look forward to being there, and I hope that you will join me there. The scripture for this series is Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. So let's just relax. Just relax and let go and be in this space right now, and know that there is only one power, there is only one presence. That power and that presence is God, whom we personally call I Am. And we have come together this evening to really understand how I Am works and what we can do to cooperate, to work with the I Am that indwells each one of us. Open our hearts, God. Open our minds. Thank you for right words. Thank you for right thoughts. Thank you for right communication. I know that I can rest because the Holy Spirit is the true teacher of this class. And so I am simply sharing information. And I know, God, you're going to do what you are supposed to do. And so I relax in that awareness. And I let it be so. And so it is. And amen. All right. Let's jump in. Do you know the secret of working with I am? Do you know the secret of working with I am? So all of us are seeking something, right? This is the title of this chapter is taken from Neville Goddard's chapter. The title of the chapter is taken from John, the 18th chapter of John, when they are coming to seize Jesus and take him before Annas, and he says, "Who seek ye?" And if I told you, I am, basically. This is John 18:6 and 18:8. If I have told you that I am, if therefore you seek me, let these go their way. As soon then as he had said unto them, I am, they went backward and fell to the ground. This conversation specifically is Jesus saying, who are you looking for? You're looking, like, who are you looking for? And they say they're looking for Jesus. And then, well, I am he, in some of the translations. So that's specific to that historical conversation, but the conversation also has value for us metaphorically, that all of us are seeking something. Every one of us, no matter what age, what race, what gender, what sexual orientation, whatever, all of us are seeking something. And if we're being honest, all of us are really looking, whatever it is, it actually doesn't matter what it is, because the what is specific to, where you live, how you've been raised, what things you value. But the desire is the same, is that we want to arrest the spirit of good, which Jesus represents in this metaphor. And we want to hold it captive so that we can only experience good. And the thing is that because of the way that we look at the world, we think we're looking for something external to ourselves. And so we keep trying to go find it in the right job, or we try to find it in the right relationship, or we try to find it in the right teacher, or we're looking for it in the right, you name it, you just fill in the blank. And the truth is that our search is for the eternal good that lies within each one of us. And that eternal good is called I am. I am is the personal name of God. I am is the personal name of God. And the search, no matter what you're looking for, and no matter how you're looking for it, is for that I am. Let me see if I can say this differently, because that feels like a bold claim, but I really want this to land. And let me know if it is landing. So the end result of experiences is emotion. I don't want the car, I want what the car makes me feel like. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a sense of accomplishment or whatever, the things that we stereotypically associate with having a car. Some of it can just be secure. I want to feel like I'm in a vehicle that's secure, right? Or I don't want to spend a lot of money, so I want to feel like I made a good decision, but I'm going for an emotion. So it's never the thing. I don't want the house, I want what the house makes me feel like. I don't want the relationship, I want what the relationship makes me feel like, right? So all of us are looking for this feeling called good in whatever way we define it. And I'm saying that the eternal good that lies at the center of your being is what you're actually looking for. And that good is I am. That eternal good that lies at the center of your being is I am. And that is what our search really is for. And so I want to share with you 7 secrets to working with I am. This chapter is so powerful. I hope that we can get through all of it, because it's just, it's just rich. It's just rich. The first secret to understanding and working with I am is to get that there is only one master, and that master is I am. This is what he says. He says that today there is so much said about masters, elder brothers, adepts, and initiates that numberless truth seekers are being constantly misled by seeking those false lights. For a price, most of these pseudo teachers offer their students initiation into the mysteries, promising them guidance and direction. And I thought about my own quest into truth. So when I was a high school student, probably around 15 or 16, probably 16, somewhere around there, my mom introduced me to Tony Robbins. And I don't mean physically, but I mean his work. My mom introduced me to Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. And his words electrified me. It just like a lightning bolt woke something up inside of me. And there were many takeaways from it. We had the 30-day personal power, Awaken the Giant Within program. I was working with the 30 days of personal power program. And I was awakening the giant at 16. This giant was coming alive. Like, let's make it happen. And one of the things that I took with me and I've carried all these years is that the past does not equal the future. And that really appealed to me. I didn't have a bad past, but I didn't have a life that I necessarily wanted. My parents were divorced. I didn't want to be the child of a divorcee. Like, I remember some program, it was like, how sad it was that children grew up in a household. It was Kramer versus Kramer. This is when divorce really first took off, right, in the 70s and 80s. And I didn't want to be one of those children. And so the idea that the past did not equal the future really appealed to me. And then when I got to college, I discovered Les Brown, Mamie Brown's baby boy. Les was, well, first of all, he was African American. So the idea that there was this black guy teaching the stuff that I had been studying was was it Hiram Clark? Like, Hiram Clark is a neighborhood in Houston, but it was Hiram, anyway, he was part of the Franklin Covey system. Oh gosh, he was really good. Ken Blanchard, oh gosh, why am I blanking on these names? These are like my early teachers, Tony Robbins. So when I got, these guys were electrifying me, mainly guys. I don't think I run across any women at that point. And so then when I saw that there was a Les Brown, it was like, wait a minute, somebody Brown is up in here? Okay, we doing something. Through his tape, I learned that you gotta be hungry. And he just, I loved everything about him, and I just appreciated his representation on that level. And so when I moved to LA, I immediately enrolled in his coaching program because I wanted to be a speaker like him. How disappointed was I to learn that I wouldn't get to work directly with Les Brown, at least not immediately. And that lost his energy very fast. Got a couple of comments here. Okay, Alita says, the good we are seeking is God. The God we are seeking is good. Emma Curtis Hopkins. Yes. That's a great quote. So anyway, so Les Brown, I'm excited about Les Brown. And in the midst of this, my assistant minister, but friend at that point, which is somebody that I had gone to college with, didn't know when we were at Penn together, invited me to church. And I got a chance to meet, and listen and study with Della Reese. Touched by an Angel come on by then? I think Touched by an Angel had just come on, or something like that. It was like, okay, Della Reese. Hey, and so I went to the summer conference, 1998. Gosh, 20 years this year, 1998. And the Reverend Dr. Mary Pumpkin was preaching. And that woman opened her mouth and changed me forever. There were so many things that were said. I rerun that audio over and over and over and over again. I've lost the tape now. I'm sure I could bug Derek or Galen and see if I could get a copy of it. But it was just a transcendent experience. And I relied on her teaching so much, I literally just started following her around wherever she was. Hi, Reverend Mary. I was just in the audience. Women's retreat. I'm not even part of the church. I'm just showing up at the retreat. And she taught me a love for the Bible I didn't even know I could have. I mean, it was amazing. And I was part of the last seminary class that she taught for the Johnny Coleman Theological Seminary. I was one of the only young person that was on the team with launching the Johnny Coleman Theological Seminary. The really early days, we were laying the plans and working with the group from Harvard to really kind of lay the foundation for the school. And right after I tested and I passed my test, right? I passed the oral examination. So had I done my practicum? Yeah, so I passed the examination, and it was time to move forward and begin my practicum. And that was September, and she was supposed to sit in on my orals panel, and because of her illness, she wasn't able to. And then in November, she was gone, right before her birthday. And her transition shook me so much because I depended on her wisdom. It was almost like I could be wise for myself, of course, but it was almost like I didn't have to be wise because she was wise. So, you know, and it was like, who's gonna be my teacher? Like I'm looking for this teacher, and you know, I believe in having teachers, and I started looking for some other teachers, and I never found anyone who really kind of resonated and touched my soul in the way that these three, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, and Mary Tunkin, did. And I realized that you have to teach yourself. And so this lesson that Neville teaches is that which I am seeking, that which you are seeking, is not to be found in another. For the kingdom of heaven is within. And so you must come to the place where you let go of all external teachers, including the Bible, and learn to stand with I am. I am, which is your awareness, right? They speak about the observer in quantum physics, right? The observer is I am. There's us participating in this conversation right now, and then there's the you that's observing you and me and all of us having this conversation right now. I am. This awareness is Lord and Master. This observer so we're in this conversation, but there's also an observer that's observing this conversation. This awareness is Lord and Master, and besides your awareness, there is neither Lord nor Master. This is why Jesus wouldn't let anyone call him Lord. Don't call me good. Call none good but the Father. His term for this inner awareness was the Father. Call none good but I am. There is only one Master, and that Master is I am. Secret number 2, knowing that you are trumps what you know yourself to be. Knowing that you are trumps. It's bigger than, it's more than, it trumps what you know yourself to be. This is what the quote says in the book. You know that you are, do you not? I mean, this is the observer. You can see that you are, meaning you're in the physical experience, but there's also the you that's observing the physical experience. Knowing that you are is the Lord and Master of that which you know that you are. Knowing that you are is the Lord and master of that which you know that you are. So what happens is that because we have this observer, right? It's this gap. And in that gap where you're able to see yourself, you're able to make a different choice. You do not move according to instinct. Animals move according to instinct. I've got a comment. Phyllis says, the Holy Spirit is our greatest teacher. I am and you are one. So if we are one with the Holy Spirit, then we are the greatest teacher. So we have to be awakened to this truth. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And that's what's happening. You only see what you're awake to. If you don't see it, you're not awake to it. So you only see what is alive in you. So what's alive in you? There's a book. I'll see if we can do an online version of it this summer where I proposed it to teach this summer. It's called Speak Peace in a World of Conflict. And great text. This is what he asked in the first chapter. And it's so powerful because I don't know that we think in these terms, right? So what he asks in the introduction is, what's alive in us? What's alive in us? So sometimes we are asleep to what's alive in us. I've told the story before, that you guys have heard me tell the story, that the weekend that I was, working with abundance, I have a bracelet that says I have abundance, and I, every hour on the hour from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I would say I am abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, and that exercise showed me that there was this spirit of anxiety that was alive in me that I didn't even know was alive in me. Sometimes we can have things alive in us that we're not even aware are alive in us. We can be asleep to what's alive in us. And so what the observer asks you to do, and what allows you to do, and why we want to always look at our lives from the viewpoint of the Christ, is that we have to have techniques that allow us to pull back from the physical experience and actually see what's happening in us. Sometimes we're in a pattern and we can't even see how we are creating the experience, and we would swear up and down that it's not us, it's them. So your ability to know, and what you're knowing is what's alive in you, your ability to know allows you to separate your creation from you, the creator. And then that gap puts some room in between you and the experience, and you can make a new and different choice. And here's the thing, when you know that you are, right, when you know that you are the observer, you become supreme to whatever you've known yourself to be. So you may have known yourself to be sickly, but when you know that you are, when you know that I am, when you know that, then you become supreme to any sickly experience. And you begin to call forward what it is that you need. And so in the midst of an experience, you can get a revelation and change directions and make a choice that is totally contradictory to everything you've been choosing up to that point. So you're not bound by the choices that you make when you know that you are. You reap the consequences of those choices, but you're not bound to keep making those choices again and again and again. When you know that you are, you become supreme to whatever you've known yourself to be. Thank you for that, Phyllis. Secret number 3, you automatically express whatever you are conscious of being. So this is going back to that question from Speak Peace. What's alive in you? What's alive in you? I love this. You guys know this quote. There's a quote from Carter G. Woodson. This is what the Neville quote made me think of. So Neville said, "The man who is conscious of being poor does not need any assistance of anyone to express his poverty." And you know that. You got family members who are conscious of of just they see themselves in a certain way, and nothing you can do or say can change how they are viewing themselves. The man who is conscious of being poor does not need the assistance of anyone to express his poverty. There's a quote from Carter G. Woodson that says, "When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions." And there's another part of it. I'm going to butcher it because I don't know it exactly. But he says that when you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions, because even if there is no back door, and what he's referencing is that this period of time in American history where if a black person went to a white person's house, they couldn't enter the front door, they had to enter by the back door. And so that even if there is not a back door, that his consciousness of himself will cause him, because the consciousness in him will cause him to create a back door where before there was not one. The man who is conscious of being poor does not need the assistance of anyone to express his poverty. So we have to begin to ask the question, what are you conscious of being? And another way to ask that question is to say, what's alive in me? Sometimes this truth is still traveling and not yet alive in us. Sometimes this truth that we're studying is still traveling and is not yet alive in us. So I'll tell you what that looks like. Oh, I knew I should have followed my first line. No, you didn't. Because you automatically express whatever you're conscious of being. We have levels of knowing. But when you know, meaning when it hits the level of knowing, and it's I should call it levels of awareness. We have levels of awareness, but when you know, you do. So knowing always produces behavior. If what you are aware of is not producing behavior, then you do not yet know it. If what you are aware of is not producing behavior, then you do not yet know it. So if you are aware that what you are eating is creating a reaction in your body, but there's no action where you are changing the way that you eat, you do not yet know that these foods that you eat are bad for you or not good for you, for your body. So the prayer then is, let's get this information to the level of knowing God. Show me what I need to do, what I need to think, so that I can get this information to the level of knowing. Because when you know, no law has to be passed. No edict has to be issued. Whatever we know ourselves to be, no one can stop us from being. And again, it's always easier to see this in relatives. We all have that relative that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you can't stop them from being who they are. No, all the laws in the world cannot turn that person around and put them on a different path. Because you automatically express whatever you are conscious of being. And this is the thing. You're in charge of what you're conscious of being. You can choose to become conscious of something different. You have a choice over what you are conscious of. For example, I feel like I'm on a tangent, but I'm going to go with it. For example, I learned in grade school that I am very good with languages. I took 2 years of Spanish and began to develop a fluency. I spent a summer, not even a full summer, 6 weeks in Israel and began to develop a conversational fluency, not reading and writing, conversational fluency in Hebrew. For college to graduate, I had to complete a foreign language requirement. I took French, and by the time I got to to graduate, I had a fluency, especially in reading and writing, a little bit less in speaking. I have a talent for languages, but I have not nurtured that talent. So I am aware that I have a talent for languages, but I'm not conscious of myself as a multilingual person. I hope this is making this, that you have things in you, talents and gifts in you that you may not be conscious of being. But if you give some attention to it, you can become conscious of it. I can decide, the next decade, I'm going to spend becoming bilingual. I'm going to make that my priority so that when I hit the end of that decade, I'll be able to say I'm fluent I am not just conversational, but I'm fluent reading, writing, and speaking in this language. You automatically express whatever you are conscious of being. Whatever we know ourselves to be, no one can stop us from being. So then your job then is choose what you want to be conscious of being, and then be it. Just choose. What do you want to be conscious of yourself as a financial whiz? Even though you may have made poor decisions financially for years previous to, that's possible. Every level of consciousness, I may as well go on to the next slide. I think that's on that one. No, it's not. We'll get to it. Every level of consciousness is available to you. Secret number 4, I am expresses according to your self-conception. I am expresses according to your self-conception. This is what Neville says. He says, change your conception of yourself and you will, without the aid of masters or anyone else, automatically transform your world to conform to your changed conception of yourself. How do you see yourself? Because here's the thing, I am cannot violate your self-conception. I am looked at Moses, a murderer, but saw a leader who would free people from slavery. But I am could not work through Moses until Moses saw himself as the leader who would free people from slavery. If you go back and you read that story, there is this entire struggle of him learning to see himself as a leader, developing the confidence, the willingness to do the work, the belief that he could do the work, the trust that God would be with him while he did the work. I am looked at Joseph, an arrogant teenager who took advantage of being his father's favorite and saw a deliverer for his people as well as the whole country of Egypt. But I am could not work through Joseph until Joseph saw himself as someone valuable to the future of Egypt. I am saw the woman with the issue of blood, but could not do anything for her until she saw herself worthy of risking death to push through the crowd to get the healing available by touching the hem of his garment. I am cannot violate your own self-conception. So if you cannot see it, I am cannot be it through you. If you cannot see it, I am cannot be it through you. So if you have to be able to see yourself sitting in the car that you want, living in the home you desire, traveling with the companion that you require, spending the kind of money, you have to be able to see yourself with it. Otherwise, I am has no way to come in. It cannot violate. The law is you got to see it, and then I am can come through you and be it. And I wonder what I am sees when it looks at you right now. Does it see published author? Does it see world-renowned teacher, speaker? Does it see business owner changing lives through your business? Does it see your children successful because of the home training and the development that you have given them? I wonder what I am sees when it looks at you. Secret number 5. I am is greater than any creation. I am one. This is a quote from Neville. I am one with all that I am conscious of being. Whatever's alive in me, I'm one with it. Whatever's alive in me, I'm one with it. But I'm also greater than that which I'm aware of being. The creator is ever greater than his creation. So the artist is always one with his creation. So Picasso is one with his painting, right? But he's also greater than his painting because he can make a new painting. I think about Prince a lot because he made music all the way up until the end of his life. And no matter how great his music had been, he could always create something greater. And I remember him hitting that pinnacle with Purple Rain and then following it up with, I'm about to call it Raspberry, Around the World. It is Around the World, right? Around the World in a Day. Around the World in a Day. And he followed it up, which was a very different album musically than Purple Rain. And I don't know if it landed quite the same, but it was this feeling that maybe Purple Rain was kind of a pinnacle. And he talked about, as an artist, going to shows and people wanting him to just do the old songs. He's like, I got new music. I'm not here to just do the old stuff. I'm still creating, right? He knew that I am greater than what I've created because I created it, but I got something else in me. The I am is not through expressing through me. Here you go, diamonds and pearls. Here you go, cream. Oh, try this, kiss. Or this one, sexy MF, right? And he continued to make new music for the rest of his life. And so we are always greater, you, me, we are always greater than anything that we have ever done. And the best part is our greatest moment still lies within. Our greatest moment has not yet come. And, it occurred to me, I get why people sit still behind failure because it can make you question yourself, right? When you this is a Tony Robbins thing. He says that when you succeed, you party, and when you fail, you ponder, right? So failure makes you ponder. But sometimes success can stop us. Because sometimes we can go so far beyond what we ever imagined was possible, and we get seduced into inaction. Sometimes we might think that, well, that I spend my wallet, I got it out early, right? Or sometimes we think we're afraid of the next thing we do not being as amazing as what we've already done. When Eat, Pray, Love came out years ago now, and Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote the book, it was this phenomenon. Just it went around the world like a lightning bolt, just striking lightning, lightning in a bottle is what they call it in the entertainment industry. And then it got made into a movie, and Julia Roberts starred as the lead character, and then it was on Oprah, and so she talked about it as an artist. It was so good. So it's a great talk. You look up this, I think it's a TED Talk. She talked about following up after the success of Eat, Pray, Love, and the fear as an artist that Eat, Pray, Love will always be her best work. and that everything else that she produces may be a poor second. It can be terrifying. It's a really great post. I'll try to find it and post it on the Rev. Sherry James Facebook page. It's a really powerful talk because she talks about being able to detach from this whole conversation we're having, being able to detach from the work and not to realize that it's she doesn't use the term I am, but that it's the I am through her. She calls it the genius. The I am through her that does the work, but not herself. And so then she can free herself to not be slave to the fear that Eat, Pray, Love may be the best that she's ever done, and everything else is just going to be a poor second. So when you're in that space, it's to be able to get some distance, and I think her talk will help with that, to be able to get some distance between what you've done and how amazing it is, and then what's still left in you to do. I imagine that Ryan Coogler and the actors, especially Michael B. Jordan and others, will have that same challenge with Black Panther. Black Panther isn't just it's like that lightning in a bottle, right? It is now the third highest grossing movie, not superhero movie of all time. It surpassed Titanic, excuse me. It surpassed Titanic. And when you have that kind of otherworldly success, well, one, you got to have your head screwed on tight, and you got to know that it's not you, but I am, right? Or whatever you call it, you can give it any name. Still a rose is still a rose by any other name. But to be able to have that level of perspective to say that it's not me, it's the power working through me. I am is greater than any creation. And every artist, no matter what your creation is, if you are a scientist and you are discovering vaccines, or you are an inventor, it's still the same thing. You can't get seduced into inaction when you have hit a home run. And Black Panther is by all means a home run. I've got a comment. Phyllis says the human I, the ego, decreases and the Christ increases. Yes. I must decrease, he must increase. Right. Right. It's reduced. It's remembering that it's not me. Because when you think that it's you, and that's why when you look at Jesus' life, and he's such an example for how we should be living, is that he's constantly reducing his human understanding of himself and elevating his spiritual understanding of himself. And so he's constantly saying, it's not me that does the work, it's the Father in me. I can't do anything that I don't see the Father doing. All I'm doing is reflecting what I see the Father doing. So I'm looking into the formless unknown and seeing what I want and then creating it. Secret number 6, I am honors your level of consciousness. I am honors your level of consciousness. We see this with lottery winners. A huge sum of money can come into their experience, but if the level of consciousness does not increase to hold that level of money, the ways and means for that money to leave all of a sudden present themselves. Every level of consciousness is available to you to operate within. Every level of consciousness. Neville writes, he says, man fails to do the work of Jesus Christ because he attempts to accomplish them from his present level of consciousness. The caterpillar and the butterfly are the same entity, right? We know that because scientifically we know that the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. But at the level of consciousness, there are laws that the caterpillar cannot take advantage of because it has not yet transformed into the butterfly. There are things that you are capable of doing, but not at your present level of consciousness. There are people you are capable of influencing, places that you are capable of having and being, people that you are capable of connecting with and being influenced by and giving to, but not at your level of consciousness. So I am is always going to honor your level of consciousness. And if you are not yet the butterfly, then your consciousness requires that you crawl on the ground. Now, when you go through the metamorphosis process, everything then that the butterfly can do becomes available to you because you have done the work to change. But I am is never going to violate your level of consciousness. I am works through the beggar and the billionaire the same way. I am works the same through the beggar and the billionaire. And so it gives to each generously and without prejudice according to their thoughts. I am gives to the beggar and the billionaire generously and without prejudice according to their thoughts. So the works of Jesus seem incapable of duplication because they can't be accomplished where you are. So walking on water does look like a miracle to you, where you now stand. Feeding 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves seems like a miracle now because of where you stand in your mind. You're going to have to come up a little higher. And the thing is that you don't transcend through struggle and sacrifice. There are a lot of schools of thought out there that will tell you you have to suffer. You got to go to this dark place. You got to suffer. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Your present level of consciousness will only be transcended as you drop the present state and rise to a higher level. If struggle and sacrifice produce change in consciousness, then hell, we all needed to be there, right? It's not the struggle and the sacrifice. It's the choice to move your attention. Now, perhaps the struggle and the sacrifice teach you to see something different, meaning that it is the path by which you learn to see something different than what you're seeing right now. But what produces the change of consciousness is that I used to pay attention to this, and now I don't. I used to give all my time and energy to this, and now I don't. And I give it to this, I make a better choice right now. Change how you think and feel, and I am must obey. Change how you think and feel. Reverend Ike said it this way: the more I use my mind, the less I have to use my behind. The more I use my mind, the less I have to use my behind. It is popular to talk about suffering. It is popular to talk about suffering as a means for changing consciousness, but that does not hold up legally according to spiritual law. That's just not there. Because if you've ever changed without suffering, then all change is possible without suffering. But you got to be willing to change. You got to embrace the moment. And we suffer when we resist change. That's the only reason we suffer. If we could learn to embrace change, we're in the midst of change right now. There's so many things changing in our country, but changing around the world. I watched something last night that talked about some of the things that China is doing to elevate itself in on the world stage. And I assume the video was meant to evoke fear and all that. And it just talked about that, and it talked about the U.S. because we're so caught up in this race thing that and this internal stuff that the positioning that the country has around the world is changing. But the thing is that God is still in charge. I am is still supreme, and my work is through I am. My work is not through humans. My work is through I am. So I show up for my daily meeting with God. We got our meeting minutes right here, my prayer journal. And we're working on something. So whatever China does or whatever the White House does or whatever happens, I am and I will be having our morning meetings. we will be doing our work because that's change is inevitable. Change is a part of our experience. No country stays on top forever. But that has nothing to do with your experience of wealth and well-being. Your experience of wealth and well-being is a function of you and your connection to I am within you. So should all the banks in the world close, I am will find a way to keep you in comfort if you're operating at that level of consciousness. Secret number 7, I am follows your lead. This is the quote from Neville. The works are finished. All that is required of you to let these qualities into expression is the claim, I am that. And you just fill in the blank. I am wealth. I am dynamic. I am peace. I am joy. The works of God are finished, or the works of Christ are finished, right? It's finished. So it blew my mind to learn that I am waits for my direction. Without it, I am takes no action. You call out to God, Lord, lead me. And the response is, okay, where do you want to go? You must set the course. Where do you want to go? I am follows your lead. Listen, God does not give things, he gives himself, which is an idea. You say, I want a new car. God gives you an idea. That idea then becomes how the car unfolds for you into expression. So you must learn to work with ideas. God never gave Adam tables, chairs, or beds. There's no record in scripture of a table or a chair or a bed, right? He hid them in the trees. And so I keep wondering, how long did Adam have to stand and sleep on that hard ground before he started looking at those trees differently? How long do you think he had to look at those trees before he started giving that tree that side eye, like, if I cut you, and if I shape you just so, I can get me a house out of you. I can get me a bed out of you. How long? And the question for you is, how long will you have to suffer before you begin to see your world differently? I am is waiting on your direction. So what shall you be? What shall you be? It's completely open. There are no limits. This is a summary. The 7 secrets. Number 1, there is only one master. I am. Number two, knowing that you are trumps what you know yourself to be. Number three, you automatically express whatever you are conscious of being. Number four, I am expresses according to your self-conception. Number five, I am is greater than any creation. Number six, I am honors your level of consciousness. And number seven, I am follows your lead. So are you ready to make I am mastery your highest priority? Are you ready to make it your highest? Do you see why it should be your highest priority? Maybe you should start there. Do you see why it should be your highest priority? Before you move to your next task, choose what you will claim for yourself through the power of I am. And make it something that you want. I was thinking about that, and I started to go for something big, and I said, you know what, let me go for a demonstration. And so I said, well, let me work on a new car. I am the owner of, fill in the blank. Before, just choose. What are you going to use? We can flow through. What is I am going to be through you? What shall I am be through you? Andrea says, seeking first the kingdom of God and heaven within us. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And that's it. So when we say seek first, there has to be a practical way that we seek first the kingdom. For me, that practical way is I show up for a morning meeting with what I call my chief spiritual officer. And it's a hat tip to Mae McCarthy. That's a term that she used that I loved and adopted. As a CEO, I like the idea that there's someone that I answer to, and that's the CSO. That responded to me, that resonated with me deeply. And so I show up for that morning meeting. We have our agenda. We go through it. We laugh. We get serious. We have our whole thing where we're working on Sherry Incorporated. And I'm the CEO, but he's the CSO, and the CSO is greater. Before you move to your next task, choose what you will claim for yourself through the power of I am. And if this webinar helps you, please subscribe and share with a friend. Let somebody know about this. Any questions? Alita says demonstration. I was listening to someone who defined demonstration as getting your demons straight. I like that. I would have to agree with that. It's like you got to nail that jello to a wall. You got to make those thoughts line up so you can get something to come up out of the experience. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you. So next week, we are working with who am I? Probably one of the most important questions that you must answer for yourself. Who am I? This book is just powerful. I hope that you're enjoying this journey through it. These are short chapters, page 35 to 44. Only 9 pages? 35 to 44. Who am I? In your faith is your fortune. Next week, we will be broadcasting from Chicago. Yay! I can't wait to get there. Yes. So very excited. Looking forward to seeing you, Alita and Judy and Eve, and just looking forward to seeing everybody in Chicago. I will be speaking at the Gold Rush Women's Conference on Saturday, April 21st. Gotta get my dates together. And I will be preaching at Christ Universal Temple on Sunday, April 22nd. I am part of the team that is celebrating Reverend Dr. Derek Wells' 7th pastoral anniversary. So very excited. Yay! Ah, I also want to give you guys a save the date. May 20th in Los Angeles, I will be celebrating my first anniversary, first pastor's anniversary at Up Church. And so May 20th, Sunday, May 20th, Sunday, May 20th. So I encourage you, please come out if you want to fly down. Wish I had places for y'all to stay. Y'all come stay at my house. I don't cook, so but probably y'all do. So y'all can come cook good stuff in my house. But I hope that you guys will come on down to LA. Yes, yes, anniversary and birthday. Yes, my birthday is May 25th. So very excited, very excited. So May 20th, May 20th, May 20th, in Los Angeles. Come on, or Inglewood, come on down or over wherever you are and celebrate my first anniversary as pastor for Understanding Principles. Okay, with that, I think that's enough. Have a great evening, and thank you guys. This is great. Good night.